welcome, LIVVIA, to the 195 Studios, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
And I am so excited to get to meet you because, first of all, you just seem like you have the best energy ever.
You're so sweet.
You were just such like a happy and like light person, which is kind of interesting because your single is kind of the opposite of that.
No, exactly. It's funny because I love how music and lyrics can be interpreted so many different ways by people as well, because for me, I see that song as having, at least in part, a hopeful edge to it, because it's a hard decision, but it's the right decision. The song's about a breakup. Mm-hmm. So, this is going to be better in the end. It's going to be hard right now, but I know it's the right thing to do. It's what I have to do. The line is, I wish we could start over, but we can't. So it's nostalgic, and it obviously is really hard, but I still see it as coming from a place of strength. And I think for me, I always want my songs to have at least some sort of hopeful, uplifting, or empowering edge to them, or theme in some way. So even if you have to look a little harder to find it, it's always going to, at least from my perspective, going to be coming from that place. Which doesn't mean that everything's always happy and always easy. But
true life.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. And I gotta say, I love that the video is like shot in reverse.
Oh, thank you so much.
Which is really cool. It's kind of like one of those things. You ever get a question that's like, if you could do something over in your life, what would it be?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that? Do you have moments where you wish you could do things over, or are you of the state of mind where you live and you learn kind of thing?
Yeah, I think as much as possible, we have to think that, you never know how things could have gone differently. Like if you made a choice that even in hindsight seems like it might have been the better decision, you don't know what would have come of that or where you would have been at this moment. So, I think for me, as much as there are things in the past that, I think I definitely could have done better, you can't really spend too much time thinking about that. Because, you can't, there's no way to go back anyway. So you have to learn from it, just like, as you said, live and learn and make, better, more informed decisions in the future. But I'm so happy you brought up the video and the reverse aspect of it, because it speaks to the nostalgia that I was mentioning before in the song. And I wanted it to be this really cool juxtaposition of like, this is a really sad breakup song, but you're seeing them in like their happy times, and I feel like that makes it even more heart-wrenching. And also, it sort of speaks to the fact that it's not necessarily all bad in a relationship that needs to end. There can be relationships that just, for one reason or another, is not a right fit, but doesn't mean that it was all horrible. That's what I was going for with that.
Did you know how to surf?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Those are all the other surfers are friends of mine too that I surf with. We were surfing outside my friend's house, and my friend's dog who surfed. Did you catch the surfing dog? It's like a quick little section.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's like a quick second. It's my friend's dog who loves to surf. It's the funniest thing. So he's the highlight.
Amazing.
He stole the show.
That's so funny. I was gonna say, because like if you didn't know, like that's commitment.
Yeah,
learning how to surf for a video.
No, I'm not like a great surfer. I'm like I don't surf like all the time, but I surfed a lot this past summer. We shot the video in the fall, and I knew I wanted to do the reverse storyline, and I was like, what would be a cool backdrop for that? And I was like, you know what? Like, why don't we just do surfing? Like, it's fun. It's the California dream.
Reverse.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, the waves will look cool backwards and all that.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
Is the song Damn, is it inspired by a breakup you went through?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's not like one story that really created this song. I think it's more a general feeling that I think can apply to a breakup. It can apply to a friendship. It can apply to just any aspect of your life, really. So it wasn't like one particular person that it was inspired by, but I definitely drew from a lot of different things.
So you didn't have to call up someone and be like, yo, like I got a song coming out about you. You can either listen or not, but it's happening.
No, exactly. But I was afraid that people would think it was about them. So that was the one thing, is that I'm pretty sure that is the case, that there is a person who thinks it's about them, but it's like not. It's
Just
really
to clarify,
not.
if you're
It's
listening
not
to this interview, what's that one? I guess you think this song is about.
Right.
It's not about you, man.
Exactly.
Not about you.
Not in like a mean way, but just like, it's just not. Okay?
Yeah, that's funny. So you mentioned someone that you were writing with.
Yeah.
When you walked in the door. I think it's really cool that you wrote with Nick Jonas in the past.
Yeah.
Can we please talk about that? Did you follow their whole wedding thing? Were you invited to the wedding?
I was there.
You were at the wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
The hands come.
Give me the tea. Lay it all out.
Oh
How
my gosh.
amazing was it?
Unbelievable. I mean,
Were you at just one wedding? 'Cause didn't they have like 27 weddings?
Right. Okay. So they had like the wedding.
Yeah.
And then they had different wedding receptions
Okay.
for like, they did one in like Bollywood and like all these different things. I couldn't actually go to the reception that was like Nick's side of the family. So I was sick. But the wedding in India was so amazing. It was like, 4 days of, different ceremonies. And what I thought was especially great was the Sangeet, which is part of the traditional Hindu wedding, where it's like a day before the traditional ceremony, where the bride's side and then the groom's side put on like different surprise shows for each other. And so I was in Nick's side, like the show. And so the songs were so much fun, like learning like the Bollywood dances were so cool. So that's something like that was my favorite part. But I mean, even like the traditional Hindu ceremony was so cool too, just to like learn more about that. And that culture, everything about it was just so amazing.
I feel like their weddings, plural,
yeah,
were, like,
exactly,
treated like the American version of the royal wedding.
Totally.
It's crazy. Like,
and the Indian version too.
Yeah, like every day they were on TV for it. I was like, I feel like I'm invited. I feel like I know everything.
Yeah, the footage, the pictures were amazing. I mean, like when you were there, it was just like such a full sensory experience of just like everything, everywhere you look was like being brought into a fairy tale storybook.
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, like, how are they going to be able to capture this beauty? But looking at the pictures, like it really shows how amazing it was.
Who of the Jonas Brothers was the best at nailing the Bollywood moves?
Oh my gosh, I was just kind of focused on like making sure I didn't mess up. I wasn't really like,
you weren't, like
looking around and like judging harshly, I was just like, don't mess up. Oh my gosh.
Like no pressure at all.
Right. No. It was really fun. I mean, I don't know, they were all really good. They did a great job.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, we all tried really hard.
Yeah. Was there someone that was there that you like had never seen before, but you're like, oh my God, like you're good at that. Like you got some moves.
Honestly, everybody really stepped up. I know this is kind of a cop-out answer, but like they would play the songs at like other parts of the wedding, like from the Sangeet, and everyone would like break out into dance. It felt like being like in a Bollywood movie. It was amazing.
So you still have a relationship with Nick, like friendship?
Yeah, definitely. Their whole family is so great, and I toured with them a bit in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you said like I wrote with Nick, which is great. But I mean, I started out like I was a really big Jonas Brothers fan, so it's really funny to me even still sometimes to be like, I can't believe we have a song together, or
That's wild.
all that. It's funny.
Is there someone to you now that like would make your life if you could work with? Because I know you worked with them. You've worked with a lot of people in the past. Quavo.
Right. My gosh.
Is there like a goal that you have now?
Well, you're right. I mean, you're right. I have been really like lucky to work with great people. But forever, I've been a huge Coldplay fan ever since I was like little and everything. So if like one day I could do anything with Coldplay or Chris Martin, that would be amazing. It's funny, I have a history teacher from high school that his name is Chris Martin. So like he's
like haunting you your whole life. It's meant to be.
He has a funny story about being at a Chris Martin or a Coldplay concert and like his friend telling his mom like, oh yeah, and then like Chris Martin was like in the aisles and running around. She's like, why was Chris Martin like running through the aisles? And he's like, no, not like Chris, like the Chris Martin.
That's so funny. What a rough life if you have like the same name as someone legendary.
Oh
Don't you feel like you have so much to live up to your whole life?
Yeah, if your name's like Beyonce.
Game over. I'm changing my name. I don't care. Like, no. Don't do that to your child.
No, I know.
Do not do that.
But what if
to
you
your
didn't
child.
mean to, and they're like the same age? You know what I mean? Like the two like Beyonces or whatever, just growing up.
And that's like
then,
not a common
yeah,
name.
no, exactly.
Fine.
That's why I thought of it, because you're not like thinking of any other Beyonce.
Oh my God, that would be so rough. Could you imagine if like someone called you up and is saying Beyonce's coming over tonight too?
Right.
Imagine like the shock and surprise when just some random person walks through the door.
You're like get excited. Yeah. Oh, the letdown.
So but speaking of like legends, so you were just at the Grammys, right?
Yes.
Please tell me about that.
Well, that was great. So I was actually at like performing at a pre-party backstage, which was so great because I was kind of like technically I'm performing at the Grammys.
Yeah,
It's just backstage, So it's just like a matter of like one word.
Oh, you own that.
Yeah.
Own that.
So it was really funny.
Resume? Check. Like,
Right.
It's there.
But that was pretty surreal. And also like because there was like sound check happening, so I could like hear the Grammys like sound check as I was like walking on to do like my show. So it just felt really cool to be involved. And then yeah, it was amazing. It's very surreal to even be anywhere near the Grammys.
Was that your first time?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh.
And then my label too, they had like 3 Grammy wins, so I always felt like,
Oh my God. That's
team
crazy.
spirit.
So tell me all of like the craziness that goes on around that. I mean, obviously, like we see the show,
Right.
but what do you see backstage? Like what goes on before and after?
Yeah.
Talk about like your experience there.
I mean, my experience was like definitely limited. Like I can't like speak to the Grammys themselves.
I mean, girl, you've had a Grammy experience. Don't
You're
sell
right.
yourself short.
You're right. I mean, I was like I said, it was like the performance that I had. I just played like a few songs, and it was actually like a bunch of radio stations that I was performing for specifically. But I was, like I said, apart from hearing the sound checks, because my little like dressing room area was kind of like in a box, you know, behind the stage, so you couldn't like see what was going on, but I could hear everybody's sound check. But that was like as close as I got, unfortunately, to anything.
Did you go
but
to
I was
any
like
of
fangirling.
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
Did you go to any of the after parties or anything?
You know, I didn't. Yeah, I actually was supposed to, and very sadly, like I said, I've literally had a cold like 3 times this flu season. So I knew I was like flying out here and all this stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna like forego the parties that like aren't necessary for me to attend. I have a performance to do. I'm going to radio next week. Like, I'm gonna be responsible. I'm not just gonna go out to like parties.
You're that person. Okay.
Yeah,
were you that person? I know you were in school. You were working. Are you still in school? Or
no,
you're done?
No. Trying to figure out when to like go back to get my MBA, but like not quite yet.
Were you that person that like you had a test on like a Tuesday and you're like, I'm just gonna study. Like, don't bother me.
No, definitely. I mean, I think I like studying with people, so like you can bother me if you want to talk about the class.
Like, you're not gonna go out and just be like, well, wing it. It's fine.
No. I think the wing it, but you were fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
I talk for a living. I didn't really need a degree.
There you go.
It's fine.
I just psych myself out. You know, like it's always fine. But you know, I'm a little perfectionist when it comes to academics. But also, like, I couldn't really afford to do too much of like the fun side of things, because even like with music videos or like stuff that I had to do, like traveling for radio or whatever it may be, like sometimes that would come dangerously close to tests or even midterms or like finals. Like I had like one radio show and I literally was like, I gotta go like right after my performance because like my test is like the next day.
Wow.
In my music video too. So, you know, sometimes I'd have to kind of be more relaxed just because like work stuff was obviously like taking precedent.
Yeah.
But
it's cool that you kind of like put them both on an even playing field. Like you didn't.
Yeah, I tried.
You know, choose one over the other. You were able to do both. What did you major in?
Economics. So everyone's like, why?
Okay.
But you know.
No, I mean, I think that's a really good thing to know.
Right.
It's just in life.
Yeah, the music industry it's a business. Yeah. So yeah, and it's so interesting because it's an art and a science combined. There's some history. You know, it's like, I don't know. For me, it's really fun.
That's
which
awesome.
Is nerdy.
That's so cool. Did you take any writing classes while you were in school?
Like, you know, just obviously like general education requirements and stuff. Like I took a creative writing class, which was really fun. And then I kind of leaned towards the more like writing based economics classes, like history of economic thought and like stuff like that where I could write a lot of papers.
Yeah.
Or even like in class writing, because that's like my favorite thing. Like, I mean, obviously I had to take more like math focused things like econometrics or like, you know, other things like that, but that was not my favorite. Nothing wrong about that, but you know, obviously I'm more of a writer or, you know, creative in that way.
Do you consider yourself, do you get drawn more to the writing process or more to the performing aspect of music?
Yeah, I mean, so for many years I was just in the writing process, like just behind the scenes, just writing and recording. So when I then went out and like started touring for the first time, it was like so crazy to get to actually see those songs like being like sung back to you by audiences and stuff, and then meeting people and hearing how your words affect people. So it's so intertwined for me that I feel like it's hard to pick one or the other, because it's sort of like now, especially having known like the experience of touring and sharing music in that way, I'm writing and thinking how it would be received live. So I love both, and I love creating the visual, like the music video and everything too. So it's hard to pick.
Just kind of like sucks you in. You talked about fans and their reaction to your music. Do you have like a specific fan moment that stands out in your mind? Something that someone said to you, or maybe they've given to you, or
just
something that
too
just
many.
makes you...
Yeah, so the thing is, when I toured a lot more in the past, you know, I would do meet and greets every day or every night after the show. And so I met so many people, and like you said, like the letters that they would write or even send in. But I think there was one particular moment that I do think about of a girl and her mom actually pulled me aside, or well, you know, after like speaking to the daughter briefly, like and really kind of elaborated on how much like words that I had written affected her daughter positively and got her through like hard things that were happening at school with friends and stuff. So that was really special, because like the girl didn't even say it to me, but the mom really took notice of that and wanted to share that with me. And so that really stood out to me as
awesome.
Like, okay, I've done my job, you know, at least for one person.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know what we're going to get to see next from you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so excited because I'm always, like I said, in the studio working on new music. So yeah, hopefully we'll be releasing new songs soon. Sorry I have to be vague about that, but it's also a great problem to have, you know, that we don't want to put out anything right away, because the song that I have out now, Damn, is reacting so well and people are really receiving it so well that it's like, okay, well, we'll just stick with this for a bit because it's really being, like I said, well received.
Give it its moment.
Exactly. It needs to have its moment for a bit, but I'm always going to be creating more, so there's like no shortage of songs to come next.
Awesome. Well, 2019, it seems like it's going to be your year.
I hope.
Cannot wait to see what you do.
Thank you so much. It's so great to meet
Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.